Hello, guys, and welcome to an incredible guest episode with my dear friend, Nicole. She's one of those people that I connected with, met, and we're like instant best friends. And I know you guys are going to love her too. She is a fairy goddess sound healer. That's what I call her. And you're going to understand when you just like listen to her and spend time with her in this episode. You guys know this, I'm so particular about how I share my energy. Practitioners that I will go to, I have very, very strong energetic boundaries in that way. I've actually even had a psychic try to read me and an energy worker tried to work on me. And she said, your guides are saying, no, I actually can't because I have such strong boundaries. So when I find someone that I feel so safe with, who I feel so open to, who I would like to share with you guys and who I want to connect with, I'm so excited. And I think you know that by now. It's just like 100% authenticity over here. So Nicole, you're going to fall in love with. She is a Reiki master. She is a sound healer. She is a beautiful, pure light in this world. And I'm so excited for you guys to connect with her, for you to listen to the science, all about the science of sound, the origination of Reiki, the meaning of Reiki, and what we can get from Reiki. You'll also hear about Nicole's journey from, oh my goodness, having her own catering company to being an herbalist to doing what she does now and the journey there into her purpose and really finding her purpose and how Reiki allowed her to find that and so much more. It is such a soul aligned conversation, and I know it's one you're going to love. Nicole is actually coming to the space a few times over the next few months. So if you're local or if you want to make the trip to Long Island for some of her activations or even trainings that she'll be doing there, please come join us. We're also planning, what came through to us while we filmed this episode was a retreat day, like a mini retreat day together where we can do some intense Kundalini and then just integrate with her beautiful sound baths. So there's so much to come from the both of us. I'm so excited for you guys to listen to this episode. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show. I'm so excited that you're here.
I am too.
I can't get enough of you lately.
Aw.
I just want to be around you.
We just need to be in each other's lives all the time.
Right?
We will.
I know. I'm so grateful you came and visited this space and you're going to
Same.
do an event there.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh my God. It's going to be dreamy.
We were just
I'm gonna
saying,
be moving it.
I can't wait. We were just saying off air how Nicole and I were in each other's orbit for a while.
Yeah.
And like floating around the same energy, the same people, the same
Yeah.
things. And then we finally officially like met face to face
Yeah.
at the Good Old Girls event,
Right.
which I love.
Was
I
so
love
good.
what they put together.
I know.
And like that minute, we're like, oh my God, we need to hang out. Like
and I
that's
was
it.
not supposed to go.
Well, you weren't.
And my friend invited me and something canceled. And I was like, okay, let's go. And then I saw you and I was like, oh my God, Erica's here.
That's so funny. And then we chatted and we like
Yeah.
were chatting in the back.
You looked at me because there was a speaker happening at this time, and you looked like Nicole, and I was like, yes, yes.
It's like finally.
I know.
And ever since, like that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
And it feels like I've known you for a lifetime.
Forever.
I want to hear about
know.
your story. Like
Yes.
how you got started.
Oh my goodness.
The journey that brought you to this moment.
Oh, we all have stories, right? But yeah, so basically, well, I grew up on a farm in Germany. So, very much tuned into nature, always my whole life. Grandparents were farmers, winemakers. So I decided after high school to learn English and come to America.
Wow.
Yeah. and
After
then-
high school.
I was 19 and decided to, live with a family. I was an au pair and lived with a family in Westchester. And I mean, I spoke English, but sort of like just refined it and just sort of fell in love with New York. And then I went to college here and just really enjoyed being in the big city because it was very different, right, from living on a farm or in the countryside, I should say. And then, studied marketing, but always kind of felt this need of wanting to be in nature. And then I ended up working for a photographer. I also had a creative outlet. And I was so sort of like bored at my job that I decided to
Being an au pair or a
no,
photographer?
be working for a photographer. I decided to create a jam business. So I decided to just make jams, and I infused herbs into the jams. So very artisanal, jams that I paired with cheeses and wine. And that's sort of
What guided
like
that? Where did that come from?
my grandma was a jam maker, and I guess I always like wanted to be reconnected to home, and
I
it was
love
like
that.
my way, I guess, of connecting back to this essence of being in nature, right? Like really working with the plants, or I should say the herbs. And it ties back to what I'm going to say in a little bit. But yeah, so that actually turned into a catering business. And this catering business sort of like totally took off out of nowhere. I was
How
work,
did that happen? How did
yeah,
it go from jam to catering to
okay.
take off? I
Yeah,
need to
it
know.
was wild. So,
Someone messaged me, actually, Laura, who is Hoff Studios. She created
okay.
this studio, and she remembers going to one of your events.
Really?
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
Oh
And
my
I don't know this part
goodness.
of your life, so I can't wait to hear.
Yeah.
Tell me,
Oh my
jams to
God.
catering.
Yeah. So at this time, so I left a photographer. The jam business took off. I sold at local cheese shops. Also won an award from Martha Stewart. So it really,
What?
yeah, really took off. So random, right? But I couldn't really figure out how to scale it. And in the meantime, of course, I decided to work in the hospitality industry. So I ran I was a catering manager for a really well-known Italian restaurant in Chelsea Market. And as I was doing that, of course, I developed lots of stress and anxiety just being in the hospitality industry in general. Lots of late hours, right? Always like being on call. And I don't know, I was just so frustrated. And I was just sitting there, I was like, why am I giving my power away to someone else's business? I could just do this by myself. So a friend of a friend knew someone at a big production company, and they were like, why don't you just come by and do a tasting? And I'm like, okay. And my vision always was to bring healthy foods to whatever I was doing. So really farm to table style, really organic food. Because back then, this was like, I don't even know when this was, I think 2014, there was no farm to table, right? There was the farmers markets just sort of got started. And food wasn't really at that level, like really rustic and healthy. And that was really the vision. And throughout my work with the photographer, I also really developed a good eye. I also was a food stylist, so I had a really good aesthetic. So as I was presenting this food, they of course loved how I presented, and they loved the jams and everything that sort of came with it. And they literally hired me for 10 shows. And those shows were like Marc Jacob, Tommy Hilfiger, Vera Wang, like all the big shows, brand names. And I was like, how did this happen? Right? It was like such a big expansion that I couldn't wrap my head around it. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing this now. And I had to hire, obviously, chefs and help. And sort of that's how literally the jam business took off to a
Wow.
catering business. And I got sort of like put into this, world of, creating really beautiful foodscapes for the fashion industry
Wow.
that was also really healthy. And I think that's really what sold, what really resonated at this point or at this time with the industry, because no one was really doing healthy, aesthetically pleasing food. And I really wanted to feed the models and, everyone behind the scene in a beautiful way. And I guess long story short, like I always had this sense of I wanted to help people and heal people, but I couldn't figure out the right medium. And food wasn't the medium for me, which I discovered later on, because that whole industry really got me so stressed and anxious. And to the point where I developed, like I said, stress and anxiety, rashes, my hair fell out, so many health challenges that it wasn't really a good lifestyle. I developed really unhealthy habits that I looked back and I was like, it's not really me. And I had to shift something. So I figured I try to find ways to really quiet my mind. And that's when I discovered Reiki, and in combination actually with sound healing. And what I unlocked with Reiki was really something I never felt before, because I tried every single modality, right? I tried to, I don't know, sit quietly and just meditate, and my mind was racing. I couldn't figure out how to really quiet the thoughts. And for some reason, Reiki really took me to this place of I was able to access things within myself that no other modality can. And especially in combination with sound healing, it was like a combination that, yeah, transported me to a place where I felt so zen. And yeah, I was able to find myself again, because I feel like I was so lost in it all, in a way where I was like, oh, maybe this is my path, but it wasn't really my path, because I feel like I was put onto this path, but it wasn't really what I was meant to do, even though at the time it was the right thing to do, but it wasn't really what my soul, was really craving. And I think I'm also the kind of person, you can put me in any situation, I will make it happen. But my soul wasn't really happy. So those were all good reflections that I gathered throughout my journey. However, really the essence and the feeling that I got from really tapping into sound healing and Reiki healing were very magical. And I was able to look at myself and certain patterns that I developed and really heal them. And I thought that was very powerful, that I had these, that I learned these tools to heal myself. Yeah.
It's amazing, that moment of reflection and awareness.
Yeah.
And being able to see the personal growth, because every day we're either practicing or we're receiving a healing of Reiki. And over time, such huge shifts happen. And I always stop to celebrate them personally. And I always encourage others to as well, because it's those moments that help us to realize how far we've come and be in gratitude for the journey and where we are now. There's always going to be some way we can change or grow. And it's so important to acknowledge the growth that's already taken place.
Right. Yeah. And I also feel like I'm an Aquarius. So I feel like I've always had a different outlook in life. And I always thought I was a little bit different, right? And I never fit in with like normal things. So, me doing things that, I don't know, the regular person doesn't fit with my personality. And I always for so long try to do that to fit the mold. And I think that's why, even me being put on this path of like, you just like, follow just the breadcrumbs, do the catering, do this, it feels safe. It just wasn't me, and just being put to this extreme of like, oh my God, you are developing these habits in your life that are actually not good for you, and you need to change something, really pushed me towards myself and my authentic self. And it really helped me to see that, which was beautiful.
Yeah. How long was it since you started practicing Reiki that you realized you wanted to step into that role?
Yeah. I think 3 years in. Yeah. And the journey wasn't an easy one. I developed, so as you are learning Reiki or really practicing, because it's really a self-practice, you really, what happens is like with Reiki, we release toxins, right? So I always say Reiki is like an energetic massage. So Reiki is a form of stress reduction and relaxation, traditionally speaking, but I also say it's an energetic massage. So the more and more you go deeper into your energetic body and unlock certain things within that subconscious mind that has been so deeply locked up, or, maybe there's some trauma there. And sort of the more and more you open these parts, right, you all of a sudden release, right, things within yourself. And your body stores so many toxins and emotions. And the more and more you open those up, they need to be released. And that release, we call it a healing crisis, traditionally speaking, but you technically are releasing toxins, and that shows up as being, cold-like symptoms. You maybe have some flu-like symptoms, and you really get sick throughout that process. You have headaches, you have stomach aches. So I was in it for at least a year and a half as I was healing myself. And it wasn't an easy journey. And throughout that journey, I also studied herbalism. I went on this journey of becoming a medical herbalist because I wanted to see what the plants really do. And that's why I think I had this really, this essence. I needed to go back to my roots where I came from, right? Like I grew up on a farm. I was always around plants. Like, what does nettle really do? What does peppermint really do? So I needed to learn this so I can heal my body with traditional plant medicine. So that's why I went on this really deep dive into plant medicine and help my body really support, myself on this journey as I was healing.
I feel like your voice is a sound healing. I'm just like listening to the frequency of it, and I'm like, I feel like I'm getting a sound bath.
Aw. I have a very meditative voice.
Oh my gosh.
It's very different than my regular voice.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get when you're channeling and in flow. I know. I catch myself sometimes too being like, there are different voices and different places we speak from depending on who we're talking to, what we're talking about, if we're channeling, if we're speaking from a different energetic place. I know. I notice that as well.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the physical symptoms because while I was having a spiritual awakening, I was experiencing panic attacks that I've never experienced before. I think it was a combination. I think what started to happen was I started to become very sensitive.
Yeah.
So this is very random and weird, but if I take a biotin or a B12 vitamin, I will be more easily thrown into a panic attack and prone to panic. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like the methylation or whatever, but I started to pick up on that. But also I remember when I would sage, it could throw me into a panic. I was also in a state of fight or flight at that time.
Yeah.
So I was becoming more sensitive, highly sensitive. And I remember the base of my spine would hurt so much. I would literally have Vinny looking up my butt. I'd be like, do you see something? Because it freaking hurts.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's nothing there. I'm like, look again, feel it.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's nothing there.
Oh my God.
And at the time I was having health anxiety. I'm thinking about what it could be and all these things, only to realize that I was unlocking energy that was literally stored there.
Right. And the root chakra, that's the root chakra. That's like the densest.
And fear. I was in a fear-based mindset. It's all about fear and feeling safe and being secure.
Yeah.
And that is what I struggled with most of my life. So it was, the physical symptoms are so real.
So hard.
And the first guided meditation I ever went to, it felt like there was a softball in my throat.
Oh my God.
I was just sitting there being guided, listening to it. And I felt this huge pressure at my throat chakra. And it was undeniable. Then every time I would tune in, I would feel it. Gratefully, I don't anymore because the energy began to move and it's flowing.
Exactly.
But the physical symptoms are so real.
So real.
And it brought
and uncomfortable. Oh.
Yeah, and uncomfortable for sure. And I think everyone has their own experience.
Yeah.
Some people might not have the physical symptoms as much. Some might have like the flu-like symptoms, like you said.
Well, and I think nowadays we have more access to group meditations.
Yeah.
Like I think now because I teach Reiki to my students, and I always say like this could happen to you, but I feel like they have been around the energy and around different modalities so much now that it doesn't happen as much because I think the collective is awakening. We did this at a point where nobody was really awakened.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're talking about 2015, 2016.
Exactly.
So I think the energy was very dense collectively. So
hence my heavy root.
Exactly. So I think, for us to move that out of our system, we also had to deal with that, right? So I'm trying to think back on anyone who I trained recently, and I don't think anyone has experienced it.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
I always say that the energy right now is supporting people along this journey.
Yes.
It's lighter.
It's so nice.
And the veil is thinner.
Yes.
It's not as dense.
No.
And it is really supportive of supporting
Totally.
people on the spiritual journey and
Yes.
the energetic journey. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And we didn't have TikTok then.
No.
Where we could look up like ascension
No.
symptoms.
No.
Like
There
people
were
would be
not
like,
even,
yeah.
I remember like there were not even any studios out there where we
Yeah.
can go. I remember I had to go to LA and take a Reiki training. There were no trainings. There were no centers here whatsoever.
Yeah.
It wasn't even existing.
Yeah.
New York was not awakened.
I know.
You know?
I know.
It was wild.
It really was.
Yeah, but the physical journey is not fun.
Yeah.
Not
How
fun.
long did that last for you?
A year and a half.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I also took a long time to integrate level 1, level 2 until I became a Reiki master.
Mhm.
Nowadays, things are a little bit different. You know, energetically, things have shifted
Yeah.
in terms of that. But it was what it was. It was okay. You know,
Yeah.
I needed to take the time to also unlock certain parts within me and to be put on my journey to see what I really wanted to do. But it really put me on this path of, wow, this really helped me with my stress and anxiety and to find my authentic self, to really see who I truly was, not dimming my light, really stepping into my power. And that's when I realized I need to share this with the world.
Mhm.
And I started working, I started having a practice in the city and started working with cancer patients actually in the city, really supporting them on their journey, which was it was a lot, but you know, it's just like we need they need the support. But yeah, it's just been a beautiful journey to do the work. But yeah.
So I feel like by now everyone in this community probably has heard about Reiki, but I would
Yeah.
like for you to really, like, we all know what Reiki is in
Yeah.
a sense, but I would like to hear your perspective
Yeah.
on what it is since you're so well versed. You're a Reiki
Yeah.
master. Tell us what it is.
Yeah.
I want to know more about the symbols. I really don't know much. I've
Mhm.
received Reiki before. I know that
Mhm.
there's symbols involved. I know we're
Yeah.
using energy in our hand, the channel in our hand,
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But I would love to know from your perspective, like what it is, the
Yeah.
science behind it.
Yeah. So Reiki, like I said, is a Japanese form of stress reduction, relaxation, right?
I actually did not know it
Yeah.
originated in Japan.
It's Japanese.
Okay.
So, and what's so special about Reiki versus other, let's say, energy work? So Reiki, Rei and Ki, two different kanjis. So you have Rei and you have Ki. So you know Ki as chi energy.
Mhm.
Ki is life energy that we all need to be alive. Anything that is, you know, has life has chi energy flowing through our body. But Rei is a very special energy because it connects us to spiritual life energy. So meaning you're able to connect to your own spiritual consciousness. So that's why it's very special, because it's very individualized. So you're able to connect to your own spiritual life force consciousness that is connected to your soul's path, right? Versus other energy work doesn't do that. So meaning if I give you a Reiki session or you come to a session, I'm just a channel. I'm really, you know, just here to show you what you're able to access. So even in group sessions, right? We have, let's say, 30 people in a group. You still have your own individual journey because Reiki works with your own spiritual consciousness. And that's why it will put you on your own spiritual journey or your soul's path and connects you to your authentic self. That's why it's really special versus other energy modalities that really don't address that spiritual part within ourselves or that higher level of consciousness. And we work with Reiki with it's gifted to you through hands, so you can work with put your hands on your client, or you can also send it orally through the aura. You can send Reiki through the eyes, you can send it through time and space. There's a lot of misconceptions that Reiki is you can only receive Reiki in person, which is not true. You can also receive Reiki in a meditation, right? You can receive it even in a recorded meditation.
Mhm.
I was really, I recorded a couple of meditations for Alo Moves, which I'm so excited about. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, you can send Reiki to your past, to your future. So it's really beautiful. And we work with symbols, yes, that we channel. You can draw them in the palms of your hands. You can think about them, in your mind. You can, just visualize them, say
You
them.
channel them, or there's specific symbols?
There's specific symbols that work with specific, let's say, whatever your client is moving through.
How many symbols are there?
So depending on the level, so level 1 and 2 works with three symbols. In the master, you work with 1 symbol, and I'm a Karuna Reiki master. So then we go back to 8 symbols.
Cool.
So with Karuna Reiki, we can go a little bit deeper into the physical body. So we can heal, let's say, any physical pain. We can heal a specific emotional pain. So whatever the symptoms are, we can go deeper into the physical body and heal, whatever is happening.
Wow.
Or like even in the emotional body. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's very like specific.
And for Reiki 1, when you go and do a training, that's for you, like to do Reiki on yourself?
Yeah. So Reiki 1 is basically self-practice. So you can give it to yourself. And then level 2 technically is if you want to give it to others.
Got it.
But it's always, so level 1 doesn't receive the symbols. Level 2 does have the symbols.
And the symbols are needed to give it to other people?
Yes, but not necessarily. Like you can still, can still, the energy, I always say you embody Reiki, right? It's who you are.
Yeah.
I feel like even people just around me sometimes feel super activated. I mean, I'm sure you feel that same way. Like when you are around people and people feel activated or even sometimes triggered or certain things happen, it's like, oh, what did I do? It's like, oh, you just like emit a certain frequency and an energy, and that's what just happens, So
what do you Reiki like throughout your day? Tell me.
So I Reiki everything. I like, even before I came here this morning in my morning practice, I put symbols on the chair just so we have a beautiful conversation that, we're just like talk from our highest, most authentic self.
What was the symbol you used for that?
It's a Karuna symbol. I cannot really share it because it's sacred.
I know. I love every detail. I figured you might say that.
Yeah, it's a sacred practice, but it's very, you'll learn it.
So
I'll share it with you one day. But I mean, I manifest everything with Reiki. Like my biggest manifestation in life have really been because I put something on a piece of paper and I give it Reiki every single day. Yes.
Okay.
I draw the symbols over it. I put the piece of paper in my hand and I send it Reiki. And even, let's say, certain, like I work obviously with my clients, and I like to work with them in a longer container, let's say 4 to 6 months. And obviously when someone comes to me, usually stress, anxiety, or any other challenges, right? It's not just one thing, right? It's usually there's a root cause. And that's what I really love about this practice, because we can get to the root cause of the problem. Yeah. So usually the root cause originated somewhere, probably in the childhood, somewhere in the subconscious mind. So what we can do, we can really peel the layer. And when we peel the layer, you can also send Reiki to that past, right? So we can do anything that's maybe karmic related, anything that happened when your mom gave birth to you, we can heal that. And once we heal it, we can seal it, and it holds no power anymore over you. So once it's done, once it's healed, cleared, sealed, it's good. It will be gone forever. So that's really beautiful.
So beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. It's really powerful.
So throughout your day, you start your day, you're Reikiing your intentions, what you journal about. Do you Reiki your meals?
Yes. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything's Reiki'd. I embody it. It's really to, my dog, Eddie, also receives Reiki. I'm also an animal Reiki master, of course. So animal Reiki has a different consciousness, of course, which is a beautiful thing that I learned about 2 years ago, because I always wondered, like, Eddie loves sound baths, obviously, and Reiki. But when I gave him Reiki, he always moved away. And I was like, why are you moving away? Like, why wouldn't you want to receive it, like, close up? And it's because of the consciousness. The animal consciousness is very different than the human consciousness. And it's a little bit too strong. But with animal Reiki, it really works with their consciousness, and it brings in the other animals and
So cool.
the energy of the spirit of the earth. So it's so fascinating.
So beautiful.
Yeah. And then also combining it with sound, which we'll get into in a minute, it adds a whole nother layer to the experience, which is so fascinating. And I think that's why on my healing journey, I was so drawn to this combination, because I think with sound, anyone who can't really meditate or is really anxious and, stressed, obviously is in a fight or flight response, right? And our nervous system is always, most people, or I would say in this day and age, we're always stressed, we're anxious, we're overstimulated, right?
Yeah.
Always fight or flight. And it's hard for us to be in rest and digest most of the time. So with sound, we're able to really quiet our mind. And once we quiet the mind and we really allow our body to be in this rest and digest state, we tell the body, or the brain tells the body, we're safe. And then when we're safe, that's when healing can occur. That's when the Reiki can come in, and we can go and peel those layers. We can go deep into that subconscious mind, and then we can heal on a deeper level. And that's what I really, what people have told me coming to my Reiki infused sound baths. They're like, I feel it's so different than going to a regular sound bath. And I was like, yeah, because it's the Reiki energy that adds that extra layer to the experience.
Everything we want really comes from a space of feeling safe and having a regulated nervous system.
Yes.
Like how we feel each and every day, but also what we want to bring in. In order to bring in what we want, we have to feel safe. In order to live the life we want to live and create that, we have to feel safe. And all these practices that we share about help you to do that, so that you can. And then you start thinking, once you feel safe, you start thinking differently. You see things more abundantly, less fear. It changes everything. So if we could just think about that simply. And to some, it might not feel simple, because I remember when I first started, all I wanted to do was feel calm. Like that's why I got on this journey. I just want to feel a moment of calmness in my day. I literally didn't know what that felt like until I found Kundalini. And it was like, whoa. And I'm like, oh, I got everything I wanted. That's all I wanted. But then there were so many layers, like you said, to peel back and really get to and come into that highest version of yourself. I do want to talk about sound and Reiki more, but before we transition to that, I wanted to ask you about Holy Fire Reiki.
Yes.
Because I'm so intrigued.
Yes.
It sounds like something I'd be so interested in.
Yes.
And I just want to know more about it, how it's different than traditional Reiki.
Yeah. So when we talk about Reiki, so there's Usui Reiki, right? And that's the traditional. And Holy Fire Reiki is still based on Usui Reiki. But in 2018, the energy changed on this planet. The collective changed, right? And the energy also needed to change with the energy that was coming in with Reiki. And traditionally speaking, Mikao Usui, who is the founder of Usui Reiki, always said Reiki goes where the collective is going. So William Rand, who is the founder of the International Center of Reiki Training, was in a meditation, and he channeled this energy that was coming through, which was Holy Fire Reiki. And Holy Fire has nothing to do, first of all, with religion. It just is a more refined energy. It has a higher level of consciousness. It's more pure, and it feels, not fiery, but just the fire comes in because it goes exactly where the challenge is, and it burns it away. Let's put it this way. So it's very direct. So it has, when I say it has a higher level of consciousness, it just is more refined, if that makes sense. So it's just like the frequency is a bit different,
Interesting.
So it's the same when we think about, let's say, different instruments. Like you have Tibetan sound bowls, you have frosted sound bowls, and then I work with the crystal alchemy sound bowls. So that's what you can think about it, right? It's like a different energy. It's a different frequency. Yeah. And it's a little more, it's very special. It's really,
and
different.
If you wanted to be trained in that, do you have to do Reiki 1 and 2, or is that completely different?
It's what we now in terms of where we are energetically wise, it's Usui Holy Fire Reiki. So it's 1 and 2. It's combined.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so you learn the traditional Usui Reiki with the Holy Fire Reiki.
Amazing.
And what has changed in terms of just like the teachings, so traditionally speaking, when you do a Reiki training in, let's say, traditionally Usui Reiki, the teacher goes behind the students and attunes them to the energy of Reiki. With Holy Fire Reiki, we now do that in a meditation, in a group meditation. So what that means is, when you think about it, the energy of the teacher now is not involved, right? So that's why it's also, it feels lighter. That frequency is not there. So that dense energy is not involved. And that's why it can feel more refined. So it's just a different way of teaching it as well. So traditionally speaking, Usui level 1 and 2 is not taught on a weekend. It's usually taught separately, but because we can now do this in a meditation together, we can do it in one weekend.
Wow.
So yeah, it's beautiful.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So when you do Reiki and sound healings together,
yeah,
how does that work?
How does it look like?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it's basically, I channel the meditation. So the meditation that I guide us in the sound bath is a Reiki meditation. So I usually tune into the group and the collective and, see where we are. What's the intention? What are we doing here? And then I choose the meditation based on what we need to heal. And then as we're all if we're in a group meditation, I send Reiki with my eyes. I put symbols over everybody. I put symbols before I even get there, in the room, on the walls, on the mats, everywhere. So you literally are on fire.
Wow.
And the way you really feel it in class or like in a group is like you feel tingling, you feel heat releasing, you maybe feel sensations of cold. We say when you feel sensations of cold, blocks are being burned away from you. You feel seeing vivid colors. So it's it's very magical. You feel like there's a heavy blanket over you. Sometimes you feel like there's waves washing over you. So there's different ways how you can experience it.
Wow.
Versus like a one-on-one, of course, is more, for your own individual journey. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
And your bowls, tell us about them because they are so special.
Erica's obsessed.
I couldn't believe, like, you played that one note for me.
Oh, the citrine bowl.
And I felt it immediately in my solar plexus.
We have to show everybody.
That was wild.
Yes.
I've never felt such a specific space activated. Like it felt like I had a band around almost where like the bottom of a sports bra would go. I felt like a band of energy. Specific, like an inch long. That's it.
Wild.
And when I asked you, you were like, yeah, that's for solar plexus. And I was like, well, that's exactly where I felt it.
Yeah. Well, citrine is first of all, it's a powerful crystal.
I love.
And that specific bowl is also for really creating and maintaining wealth. So also you just opened your space and it's like initiating you into this beautiful new next chapter. And it's like, that's our powerhouse, right? It's like really shining it's like how you shine your light, the sun. And that bowl is just so magical.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And that's kind of like what was activated.
I've like never actually, inner light. Yeah. I felt it.
Yeah.
I've never actually been to a sound bath I went to one actually.
Okay.
And it was okay. I know your experience. Like I'm so excited. No, you have no idea.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited for it. I'm telling everybody about it. I'm like, you have to come because it's going to be out of this universe. And I can just feel, I'm a projector, a mental projector, and there's things I just know.
Right.
Like I just know things. And I'm like, this is otherworldly. And I know it.
I keep saying it to people too. I was like, I know you've been coming and see me in my regular sound baths here in the city, but this is going to be different. It's going to be on a different level.
I feel it.
I'm so excited
so
for
excited
people to
too.
experience it. Yeah, so I specifically work with the Crystal Alchemy bowls by Crystal Tones, and so there are clear quartz crystals, but so they're 99.9% clear quartz crystals, and then they infuse them with precious metals, earth elements, minerals, gemstones.
They're stunning.
And yeah, that's what gives them this beautiful color. But then each and every bowl carries a specific healing frequency. So every bowl, first of all, is very unique. And then, like you experience the citrine bowl, really, activates a certain energy center within our body. So depending on what the sound healer curates, depending on what sets they have, we can really create experiences and create soundscapes that transport us to different planes, and yeah, it's just so magical. So some of the bowl, like, I'm just going to explain it. So some alchemies, let's say, rose quartz, we all know rose quartz really activates the heart, right? Morganite also is very heart centered, but goes a little bit deeper into finding partnership and just really opening that heart space. If you have a platinum alchemy, it really cleanses your system. So, it really depends on what sets you curate. Some of my sets, I have like a kyanite bowl, which is a physical pain reliever, which is crazy. I remember I was sick a few weeks ago and I just played the bowl for myself. And I kid you not, I was so much better afterwards. It's like incredible. These alchemies are just on another world.
Is kyanite the blue one?
Yeah. It's like bluish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, of course, you have different notes, and the notes also resonate with like different energy centers. Or, you can curate based on an endocrine set. So I'll get into it in a second, but it's so beautiful. Yeah. Because there's so much science behind sound healing. And that's really what I feel like sound healing is a beautiful way to get people hooked and into the work. Yeah. Right. I think you said that too. It's like sound healing is it's a beautiful gateway.
Yeah, because you can just you're just lying there.
We think it's passive, right? Right, but it's actually not,
and it's working for you.
Right,
it's going in and really doing so much work.
Right. So when because like, let's say someone is super anxious and stressed, right, and they can't chill out and quiet down. Well, first of all, we need to talk about the philosophy of sound healing. We need to believe that everything in the universe vibrates, right? Yep. We're an energetic being. Nothing is still. Everything has a resonance, right? Our body has its own frequency. Our organs, our bones, everything has a vibration. So what happens when we play these magical bowls, the sound waves will entrain with your brain waves. And that's why you find yourself in a deep meditative state. So you technically go into the alpha, theta, and delta brainwave state in sound healing. And when you think about those brainwave states, they're super restorative. So theta and delta. So theta brainwave state is where we can access our subconscious mind. It's when we can access creativity, right? Delta is deep rest, DNA repair, deep healing. When we're sleeping, right? It's very restorative state. So that's why it's so healing to our system. It's so crazy, right? So that's why most people that are like, that are on the fence and like, I don't know, I'm not someone who can just sit still. I'm like, just come to a sound bath. Yeah. You will be literally unconscious in like 5 minutes. Trust me, because it's the science is there. It's the entrainment of the sound waves with your brain waves. That's what it is, and that's why it works. And then you will feel less stressed, less anxious. It has a way of calming your nervous system. It helps relieve any physical pain that you have within your body. And the more and more you do it, it helps lower your blood pressure, just like your heart rate in general. It helps lower the cortisol level. So that's the thing. When our cortisol level is low, again, our body feels safe, right? You're in that rest and digest state. So you go from sympathetic to parasympathetic, right? The nervous system. And that's where you want to be. You're less triggered throughout. And the more and more you do it, you find yourself just floating throughout time and space every single day, and you're not bothered anymore by anything.
I've seen experiments done where there's like sand on something and they start to play a sound healing or a frequency, and it has like this beautiful geometric pattern to it. And practicing mantra, practicing sound, practicing with sound bowls, you experience it. And then when you can see things like that and match the science to what you feel, it's like, wow, that really is exactly what it feels like. My cells are just all moving in unison together in the same pattern, in the same way, all moving forward together. And it really is so cool to be able to see studies and science to catch up to what a lot of us have experienced. But in the past, it was woo-woo, or it wasn't what someone was prescribing to us. So it wasn't, worth our while. But now we're living in this age of energy where people are open to seeing so many modalities all work together.
Well, and I think that's why even like with the work we do, I think the human kind needs the science to understand some of it. And that's why I love the sound, because I can always explain the science. And then most of the time they're hooked. And then the Reiki, because the Reiki is not sometimes tangible. It's just like, even with Kundalini, like you need to experience it, right? And I love the integration. We didn't even talk about that yet, of Reiki and Kundalini, because I think Kundalini really moves the energy and Reiki really harmonizes and integrates it. Because I have a really big Kundalini practice myself. That was part of my journey as well. But I think the science behind it really helps people understand what's going on, and I do an experiment in my sound healing training. So I put water in the sound bowl and then we play. And you see the pattern it forms.
So cool.
And then I always say, imagine like we are made out of so much water. And if you are laying in a sound bath, this is what happens to your organs.
So cool.
This is what happens. You will eventually harmonize your system and feel so much more balanced and, rejuvenated afterwards.
Yeah, that harmony truly does live within all of us. And it's about giving ourselves the opportunity to feel and experience it, and finding the modality that works for us that can help us feel into that space and feel into harmony.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful feeling when we finally get there. And then it stays with us throughout the day when we, after a sound bath or after our morning meditation. It really does.
It helps. I love falling asleep to a sound bath. It's so good.
So nice. So talk more about Kundalini, the integration with sound, and how you see those working together.
I just, I think since Kundalini is so active, right?
So active.
So active, which we're moving a lot of energy. Then you also at some point need to restore and need to integrate it. And I think that's where the sound and even combining it with Reiki really helps to let everything settle, to alchemize. I think that's the right word, to really alchemize what you just have moved and, opened up within yourself, to really just like embody that. It's so important, because we can move energy, we can do all the work, but if you don't alchemize it and integrate it, there's no point to it.
Today I did the mantra hour. Were you on today?
No, not.
I know
no,
last week you were, right? So we did the mantra hour, and after we end with the long time sun, the long sat nams, and something about ending in that way activates so much energy. It moves so much energy in my system. And chanting mantra is a little less active than like a Kundalini Kriya. I think it's a little bit more feminine and flowy rather than like the masculinity of the intense practice we could sometimes engage in. And after is when you feel so much of that energy move. And allotting that, like, yes, we're done chanting the mantras. We've finished. We've completed it. But after is where so much is happening
Yes.
and moving,
Yeah.
and there is that need for integration.
Yes, totally.
And to sit with that and allow yourself, that's when you're feeling everything come into harmony.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because we have that aspect to like engage sound healing within too, with our
Yeah.
mantra and our sound.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, we are
so
sound,
beautiful.
right?
Yeah.
Our voice is sound. That's our first instrument that we're used to. Like even in the womb, as we're in our mother's womb, we're in water. That's sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And
so
the
magical.
first, what brought the universe to be was a vibration, a sound,
Exactly.
and everything came from that.
Sound. Exactly.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to see where we're going with all this work. And that's why, I don't know, I feel like, yeah, just introducing people even to sound bowls and just, you know, like having people play them. And it's just so beautiful to see, like even your experience when, you know, I played the citrine bowl for you and you're just like, oh my God, what was that? Like just even seeing your reaction, that's just like so dreamy and magical. I want everyone to feel that way.
I can't imagine a full session. I cannot wait. Counting down the days. So
Yes.
right now, if someone wanted to work with you, where
Mhm.
can they find you? What
Yeah.
offerings do you have out there in the world? I feel like you
Yeah.
have so much.
So much. I mean, so I have a studio in the city where I do one-on-ones, and I have a alchemy sound studio where I sell my bowls and I do bowl consultations. So if anyone wants to play with the bowls and wants to get to know the alchemy bowls, we have that. And then you can find me throughout the city for my sound baths and at the space, which I'm so excited. And then that's it. Yeah,
And-
but my studio is basically where I work out of in the city, where I do one-on-ones and work with people, you know, in a longer container.
And are you taking new clients? If someone's listening and they're like, oh my goodness, I need to work with her. How could they get in touch with you?
Just email me on my Instagram.
Okay.
I'm sure you're going to put all
we'll
the...
tag
exactly.
everything, your website, anything that you want, we'll tag.
Yes,
so
please.
they can work with you.
Yeah, for sure.
You're just a magical, I call you like a fairy sound healer.
Aww.
Your energy is so beautiful, so light filled, so pure. And I'm excited to go on this venture with you because Kundalini has been the path for me because all it's brought to me and all it's given to me. And it's like, okay, I'm just going to keep going. But it also has opened me up to so many more modalities that I feel like I could experience things on a deeper level because of my practice. And now I see value in every modality, every practice, because it's all energy. It's all the same but different.
It's the same but different. Yeah.
It's the same but different.
Exactly.
Recently, I just started doing yin yoga, which is something I would never do that ever because it's slow. Like what my former self, like, what's the point? And there is medicine available in every modality. And it's just like whatever your body, whatever your soul needs. So
craving.
I'm really excited to experience this. And you're such a safe person to experience it with.
Thank you.
Truly.
Yeah. No, I have to say, I mean, I found Kundalini in my spiritual journey, and it has brought me, just like you, so many beautiful big manifestations. And I sometimes, it's so funny, my spiritual friends always remind me, it's like, oh, remember when you did this and this? Just keep doing that, because that's when you really were abundant and magnetized.
What was it? What was this and this? Can you share?
Oh, of course. It was like, what was it? What was it? It was Breath of Fire. It was hold on, Alo Yoga.
Love. Talk about sound, right?
Yes, I did that. And then Satanama. And then I did just, what else? Yeah.
So
I had like an hour of a sadhana in the morning for like six months.
Wow.
And I really excelled in my business during COVID. That's when I really got started, which is wild.
We had a lot of space during that time.
Yeah.
And I think it provided a lot of people a lot of space, and it was up to us what we wanted to really hone in on and focus on.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
Thank you so much.
oh my God, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so
I
excited
can't wait
to
for
see
all the
for all the
things.
things that we're going to create.
And for
So
people to
magical.
really experience all your magic.
Thank you.
And continue to, because I know
Yeah.
you share in so many ways.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you.
So happy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. As you can tell, sense, feel, it was so aligned energetically. And Nicole is just a wealth of knowledge in her areas of Reiki and of sound healing. And she's just a beautiful soul to sit down to connect with. I feel like she said in the episode how you could receive Reiki through her eyes. And when we first sat down, I was looking into her eyes. I'm like, they're truly a portal. She and I are sending you so much love today. I thank you so much for joining. It's never lost on me how grateful I feel to be able to share what I love in this way and to have you on the other end listening, sharing the podcast, and just sharing with me your feedback. It means the world to me. Thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to see you next time. May the longtime sun shine upon you. Satnam.